So welcome all of you to our engineering online open event at City College Norwich. I'm Corianne Peasgood, I'm Principal and Chief Exec, and I'm going to hand you over in a moment to my colleague. But the first thing I want to say is question and answer is open at the bottom. It just comes through to us panelists. It doesn't come through to the rest of the attendees. So whether you've got any questions now, whether you've got any questions that are prompted as a result of the presentation, or at the end, pop them in the Q&A and we'll make sure we pick them up at the end. I'll hand over to...
Hi everybody, I'm Gina Webster. I'm the Head of Engineering here at City College, and I'm going to take you now through a quick presentation. Hopefully it'll give you all the facts that you need about the courses at the college, but as Corianne said, if you've got any questions during the presentation or following the presentation, then just pop them in the chat and we'll try and answer them. So let me share my screen. Hopefully you should all be able to see that, and we'll get cracking. So thank you for joining us here this evening, and hopefully you'll be aware by now that we're going to be discussing the engineering courses that we offer here at City College. If it's another subject area that you're looking for a presentation on, it probably means that you need to join another one of our presentation evenings. So to be clear, it is the engineering courses we're going to be looking at today. So the purpose of today's session is to give you information about the courses that we offer in engineering, but also to give you an insight into what it's like to study here at City College Norwich, and the way, and also that we have what we have at our eastern campuses as well. And then to answer the questions that you may have so that you can make the choice that's right for you. So why study at our college? Well, firstly, we have specialist teachers that all come in the trade areas from industry, and between them, they've got many years of using their skills and experience in the workplace, as well as teaching with us here at the college. So they're an amazing resource for us, and we're really lucky to have them with us. Secondly, we have amazing engineering facilities to help develop your individual skills and knowledge. The workshop areas are developed to a professional standard, and with that we have high expectations of you as students, with the aspiration that you replicate these standards with professional behaviours and a high work ethic. Hopefully after leaving us here at the college, you'll be able to go into an employer and replicate the high standards that we have here in the workplace. And finally, we promote a college environment that will treat you as a young adult and give you the support and challenge needed for you to succeed. So life at the college, what's it like? Our mission is to challenge minds, inspire success and secure futures. And to underpin this, we have our own ways of working. So our own set of values and standards that we adhere to from both a staff point of view and a student point of view. And these ways of working are our values and standards that guide both us as staff and you as students through your journey. And they're open and informative, respectful and fair, creative and positive, collaborative and inclusive, exemplary and tenacious, and aspirational and entrepreneurial. But don't worry about remembering them now, because you'll learn more about these as you start to go through your college journey. They're also prominent expectations which are covered with you during your induction period and are firmly embedded into the day-to-day running of the college as well. So you won't get away from them. They are living with you from the moment that you join us at the college. The college also has a diverse and inspiring student body. All of our courses have student reps, and these reps attend regular meetings to voice opinions of their fellow students. So if you have got an opinion on a course that you're on that you'd like heard, then you will have a rep that will be able to put that forward to us. So make sure that you use them if that's the case. More importantly for me as head of engineering, why engineering? Well, engineering remains an essential part of the UK's economic plan, and it's critical to the social well-being of the country. Engineers make up 18% of the UK's working population, according to the Office of National Statistics, but unfortunately, females in engineering only make up 18% of that 18%. So if we have more of those coming through, that would be amazing. It's estimated that the engineering sector generates circa 25% of the UK's total GDP, and that equates to about 420.5 billion. I'm not sure why we put the half in there, but it's important to somebody, I'm sure. And with constantly changing technologies, at the moment, electric and hybrid vehicles, changes to domestic power and heater requirements, and the emphasis that all of you will have seen on the news for COP26, we can see already the rising importance of engineering as a sector on a global scale. So with the big facts out of the way, what are you going to get out of choosing engineering as a career? Well, choosing engineering as a career, you'll acquire logical thinking and critical analysis skills, but you'll also learn skills that are transferable and could take you all over the world, opening up many local, national, and even international opportunities. Engineering is practical in nature. So if you're not somebody who fancies the idea of being stuck in an office in your day-to-day working life, engineering could be an ideal subject for you to be studying. And finally, I know that it sounds a little over the top, but at simplest level, an engineer's job is to make the world a better place. Be that through sustainable production, designing and implementing and making safer cars and roads, or creating new ways to make life more comfortable. By studying engineering, you are choosing a path that will offer you a high level of job satisfaction, and you can make a real difference to people's lives. And I say that because I'm now teaching, and I have. So you really can make a difference, and it's what drew me to engineering in the first place.
Thanks, Gina, and your passion really comes across. And can I just butt in to say we've got a few more participants joined us. Just to let you know that the question and answer is just coming through to myself and Gina. So if you've got any questions that you want us to pick up in the end, pop it in the Q&A and we will answer them at the end.
Thank you, Corianne. So let's take a look at some of the courses that we offer at City College. Our engineering space is split into three, really. That most people view as traditional engineering, and we have level 1 diploma, level 2 diploma, level 3 diploma, and with the new T levels, a T-level engineering route coming through. We have an aviation pathway, and that's delivered, I'll tell you a bit more about that in a little while, over at the Aviation Academy near the airport. And we have level 2 and level 3 diplomas in aircraft engineering. We also have the T levels coming through, and aviation is one of the occupational competence pathways within there. And we also have progression onto the HE degree route with KLM on board. And then the third area of engineering is motor vehicle or automotive engineering. We go right from level 1, that we call transport, into light vehicle maintenance and repair, level 2 and level 3, and then also automotive is one of the pathway areas on the T-level engineering route as well. So we've got quite a lot happening within the engineering area, dependent on the specialism that you choose and what it is that you want to do in the future. If any of you are into farming, we also have the agricultural engineering routes over at Eastern College. The majority of the previous routes are delivered over at City College, but agricultural engineering, we don't have a massive, well, we do have a massive campus here at City College, but not as big as the one at Eastern. And certainly tractors fit better over there, and the heavy vehicles fit better over there than they do here. So we have a level 2 land-based technology diploma, and we have an extended diploma in agricultural engineering as well. I briefly mentioned the aviation pathways are at the International Aviation Academy. It is a world-class training centre that we have the privilege of being able to use over there, located next to Norwich Airport. There is a live Boeing 737 aircraft. It is stripped out, but all of the diagnostics are there. It travels as if it is a live aircraft, so they can see when it should be maintained, whether there are any problems on it. So people have the opportunity to work in a real environment, so much so that the awarding bodies have actually classed it as an emulation zone. And as part of the apprenticeship pathways, when we have to view people doing jobs in realistic environments, they've given us the status of that being classed as a realistic training environment. We have direct pathways into aviation engineering and access to lots of jobs within the industry, and also progression onto the BSc Honours Professional Aviation Engineering Practice degree. So aviation is a route that takes us right the way through from level 1 all the way through to degree level, with some world-class employers on board with us. So progression, you might be thinking, well, actually, I'm only thinking of starting at the college now, but right from the start, we encourage people to look at what their progressional opportunities are and where is it that they're going to end up next. Students are encouraged and have the opportunity to progress from their starting point right the way through to level 3 qualifications in all 3 of our disciplines and beyond in something like aviation. And you will also have the opportunity to progress from full-time courses onto apprenticeships, higher education, and we support you into careers. But most importantly, we'll always encourage our students to never stop learning and looking for that next step. So right from the start, look at what progression looks like for you. And just to give you a bit of a feel in terms of our own qualifications here, this might be, and it seems like a busy diagram, but I will explain, an opportunity for yourself. So as a school leaver, you'll come in July 2020. You could come through straight onto one of our T-level routes. You could join us on our level 1 or our level 2 motor vehicle routes, or the level 2, level 1 and level 2 aviation and engineering routes. But from there, there's options for you to move about. So you could move from level 1 transport into light vehicle maintenance and repair and follow the level 2 and level 3 pathways in light vehicle maintenance and repair. You might decide at that point that actually you want to go and progress onto one of the T-level automotive routes or the engineering routes. Likewise, from aviation, you might choose to follow a traditional level 2, level 3 and HE degree route into aviation. Or after doing the level 2, you might decide that you want to look at the engineering T-levels. And similarly, from the engineering routes, you might go level 1 into the T-levels, or level 1, level 2, level 3 in engineering. So the key thing is we have the flexibility to do that. Once you've started on your route with us, we will then sit down with you, discuss where it is that you want to go, continue that discussion all the way through your journey with us so that we know that where you end up is absolutely where you need to be. So with all that said, what do you need to do next? Well, you can start applying now for courses in September 2022. But some of the courses, and engineering being one of them, fill up really quickly. So it's really important that you apply early. It's really important that you ask questions to get good advice, but to keep your options open. And my final point for you really would be always have a plan B, because if you leave it that little bit later and you don't get your first choice, what is it that you can do as your plan B? And we'll help you along that journey as well. And finally, from me, over to you. So now it's your chance. I know you've been sending them in, so it might be Corey and asking the questions to me. Your chance to ask your questions. And if you've got any more, put them into the Zoom chat and we'll try and answer as many as possible.
Thank you, Gina. The first one actually is about applying, and I'll pick this one up and then I'll hand the next one over to you, is how do I apply? There are 2 ways. You can either apply directly through the website, but some of your schools would rather that you applied through Help You Choose. So if in your school, your careers teacher or your careers lessons, they like you to sit down and apply using Help You Choose, that's fine. If not, then yes, do go through the website and it will all come to the same place. Gina mentioned the fact that some of the courses fill up quickly. Whichever route you come in, you'll have the same, your date of application marked in the system. So, so don't worry about that. So Help You Choose or the website, that's fine. Probably start with sort of some of the questions at the beginning, because on that last one slide, you flashed up about there being an interview. I think you might have worried a couple of people. So what will the interview be like and what questions will I be asked?
So the interview is quite an informal process. It's basically for us to understand what your motivations are coming to the college. So we'll ask about things like your grades, if you've got predicted grades. We'll ask you why you've chosen engineering. But it will be an informal process. There's absolutely nothing to worry about. You don't have to worry about preparing your answers to set questions. Just be yourself, come along and have a chat with us.
Yeah, it really goes back to the mission statement, doesn't it, about securing futures. We can't help you secure your future unless we know we've got you on the right program. So the interview really is about working out what's the right program for you. You mentioned T-levels, Gina, and obviously these are new qualifications that are just coming in, so they're understandably a little bit more information people need. And you mentioned them when you were talking about engineering and motor vehicle and aviation. So the question is, is there one, or are there three, or what does that look like?
There are 1 and 3. I know that sounds complicated. There is one engineering route to T-levels. So whether you go automotive, aviation or motor vehicle, there will be one engineering route. That's then split into different pathways, and those pathways are things like maintenance engineers, design, installation. So you really have to look at where that pathway is going to lead. And then following on from the pathways, we have occupational specialisms, and that's where things like your traditional engineering, your motor vehicle or your aviation come in. So the way that they're structured is, it doesn't matter whether you do engineering, aviation or automotive, you will do a standard first year introduction to engineering, and that's the same across all 3 of the occupational specialisms. So you'll get an understanding of engineering principles, engineering past and present, future, you know, all those kinds of things that you'd class as your base understanding of engineering. And then in the second year of the T-level, that's when you'd specialise in your particular chosen pathway. So that would be very specifically engineering or aviation or motor vehicle. So your 1 year standard across all 3, second year very bespoke across each of the different pathways.
And one of the things, Gina, about the T-level that's different from the level 3 diploma that you put up is the fact that to achieve it, you have a 45-day minimum placement in industry, and that would be in that area that you've chosen, wouldn't it? That would be in engineering or aviation or motor vehicles. That would be quite specialist to the route you're following.
Absolutely, and that's really, really important to your qualification, because whilst we're giving you the grounding and the knowledge skills within the college, what you'll get within your employer, similar to the way apprentices get them by working for an employer, is that contextualization. You'll be able to put what we're teaching you into practice in a real life environment with a real life employer, and that is one of the beauties of the T-level, is it's going to give you that leg up, that contextualized learning, that hands-on learning that a lot of engineers love, and I did, you know, to be able to really put what you're learning into practice.
And we'll just stay on T-levels, because the question that's just come in, what would be the entry level for GCSE grades for the T-levels?
At the moment, we're really finding our feet on them. I'm assuming they're going to be level 4s across the board. So, you know, we're going to need those level 4s in English, maths and science. But really, we're right at the start of our journey, understanding what they're going to be. So they may flex over time, but it is quite an academic course. You know, we are trying to push you onto those level 3 qualifications. So the better qualification you can get to start, the easier it's going to be for you in terms of your progression.
And if you're not quite ready for that T-level, there'll be a transition program in place as well, won't it, to help you to get to the T-level. So that will be there too.
Yeah.
Because one of the other questions is, what level is the T-level equivalent to, please? A completed T-level is equivalent to 3 A-levels.
Yeah.
So it is very much an A-level equivalent. And another query around, is this replacing the BTEC? In a lot of places it is, and in this area it is likely to, but the government are still making some changes, so rest assured we will get all of the information up on the website as it comes through. But at the moment it is looking likely that yes, it will be a replacement for the old way of doing the level 3. You might want to nip back to your pathway graph. I've got a question that showed final for engineering. Is the pathway graph that the PowerPoint showed final for engineering options, because the website hasn't? No, you don't need to go back to the graph. I can explain that. I've read the question fully now. I think, as we've just said, the T-level information is still just coming through, and we're trying to keep the website as up to date as we can. The thing that I think I would say is, if the website is confusing, or what we're saying is confusing, apply for the level and the pathway that Gina's spoken about. So apply for the engineering, for aviation, or for motor vehicle. And by the time you come along for your interview, we can really tease out exactly what the qualification is, what the entry requirements are, and whether it's the right one for you.
Yeah.
And there's a question about, are they on your website? They're probably not on the website with the amount of information that you need, but they will be soon. Watch out for a publication coming of all of the T levels we do across all of the different areas, just as soon as we get a little bit more information. Another question about where do I apply? So yes, on the website, all the options are there, or on Help You Choose if your school would rather that was the way you applied. Then we've got some questions about what the course is like, really. So, and not just the T levels, the other courses, full-time courses as well. Are they full-time? Does that mean 5 days a week?
No, it doesn't mean 5 days a week for all of them. It will depend on the level, and it will also depend on what you have in terms of entry requirements for English and maths. So your study programme, if you've got the grades in English and maths, will mean you'll probably do about 3 days a week. On average, dependent on which pathway you choose. If you need English, or if you need English and maths, that's usually another half a day a week for either or each. So, if you've got a full-time course and you've got the requirement for English and maths, you're looking at a maximum of 4 days a week.
Thank you. And what might a normal day look like? Well, I spend most of it in the workshop.
It really depends on, so say for example, one of the motor vehicle courses, to start off the course, you will predominantly be doing health and safety, and that's for us to make sure that you are absolutely safe in the workshops. There's no doubt that the workshops are dangerous places to be if you don't know what you're doing in them, but if you do, that they're absolutely not. So once we've got past the health and safety period, we try and split it up so that you're spending part of the time doing theory and part of the time doing practical. So you might do a full day doing practical, you might do half a day theory, half a day practical, but you won't go for weeks on end sitting in a classroom just doing theory and have no practical sessions in there as well.
I'm going to stay in the classroom now and the experience, because if I did manage to get an apprenticeship, what might my timetable or programme look like as an apprentice as opposed to a full-time student?
So as an apprentice, obviously we'd only get you 1 day a week rather than 3 or 4 days a week. But in terms of how it's laid out, it's a very similar layout. So a lot of the time we're teaching you the theory that then you will contextualise back in the workshops. But for example, on the engineering on the engineering standard, which is a level 3 standard, you do your health and safety. The first thing you'll do is spend a number of weeks doing hand fitting skills in the workshop. So that theory is probably blended in the workshop rather than on the FE courses, it being theory and practical. You'll do your theory and practical together in the workshop itself. So much more hands-on for the first part of the course, and then obviously it splits out the same as the FE would.
And how would I know if I wanted to do the motor vehicle course, whether I needed to start at level 1 or level 2 or level 3, or do you do them together?
You usually come in at level 2. We don't direct entry into level 3 at all. So if you've got the right grades, then we'd have that chat with you and we'd put you straight into level 2. Level 1 really is that opportunity for you to get a base knowledge, but also to catch up on your English and maths. So that's kind of a dip your toe in the water. Is this what I want type of course at level 1? But if you've got those grades, and we think that you can take on the level of the level 3, because hopefully we're pushing you to level 3. We're not just going to let you stop at level 2. We want you to go on to that level 3. Then it would be a start point at level 2.
And continuing with how long are the courses? So how long would the aviation course be?
They're each a year. So apart from the degree is a lot longer than that, but the level 2 is a year, and then the level 3 is a year.
And then after that, if you went on to the degree, that's another 3 years, and you would come out as a fully qualified aircraft engineer after 5 years at the college. And we've got lots of young people that have actually gone through that route, haven't we, and graduated
Absolutely
with their degree and their qualifications.
And we have apprenticeships in all of these, including aviation as well. And our aviation apprentices go on to degrees just as much as our FE students do.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things to say, if it is an apprenticeship that you're interested in, Gina spoke about a plan B. Don't forget, an apprenticeship is a job. And so until you've got the job, you won't have the apprenticeship part to go with it. And so make sure you've got a plan B that doesn't require that employer along with you, which might well be one of the FE courses that we've been talking about. That way you keep your options open.
And the one thing I didn't put on the progression pathway document is there are also step-off points in there if people do work experience with an employer and the employer says, you're fantastic, I want to take you on. You know, there's touch points within those qualifications where we can step you off and step you into apprenticeships, but that's an open conversation with both yourself and the employer at the point that we can do that.
Because sometimes it's best to stay on programme another couple of months just to make it easier for you and the employer. A specific one here now, Gina, that I'm hoping you can answer. Could the aviation course lead into electrical engineering?
It depends at what level. So it may be that if you've done level 3 aviation, that we can APL enough units over for you to go on to a level 2 electrical course, because you will do electrical units in there. If you did the engineering courses, they would map across easier because they're not as specific in terms of the units, but there's certainly something that we can do in terms of that APL across, because there is electrical componentry in all of the qualifications.
Thank you. While I'm asking you the next one, would you mind just popping back up your school leaver pathway diagram, because somebody would like to take a photo of it so they can get a closer look. So you pop that back up and then I'll be ready with the next question. Well, that's a good point. That's nice and easy.
Is that the one?
We're on the preview, Gina, as opposed to the presentation.
Let me stop sharing.
I'll pick up another one of the questions, which is about, are there not 2-year courses? Apart from the T-levels, quite a lot of the courses are 1 year that then leads on to a 2nd year. So it might be the level 2 motor vehicle leading on to a level 3 motor vehicle in the examples that Gina's shown there. So the aviation is shown as 2 separate 1-year courses, the diploma at level 2 followed by the diploma at level 3. You would be with the same group moving through from level 2 to level 3. It would feel like a 2-year course. But because it's important, as Gina said, to have those stepping off points, because it might be at the end of the level 2, you get an offer of a job and you want to move into an apprenticeship, or it might be at the end of level 2 aviation. You've thought, do you know what? I love engineering, but not aviation. I'd like to step into the T level. Mm-hmm. And if it was a full 2-year course, you wouldn't achieve anything at the end of the 1st year. So that's why we have them running through as 2 1-year courses as opposed to a 2-year course. How about if somebody's already applied for mechanical engineering, but now they realise the T-level might be more suitable? Do they just keep their application in as it is and come along to the interview, or should they change it on the website?
I would keep it as it is for the moment, definitely, because we haven't got the engineering T-levels up on the website. You're not going to be in a queue and there's not going to be loads of people taking that place. So keep it as it is. Come along, we'll be setting the interviews up fairly quickly now. So beginning of December, we're going to be starting to contact people, get your name down, and we can have that discussion when you arrive.
Because it's in the same curriculum area, we'll take your date of application as the date we got your application in for the mechanics course, and we can then move it across with the same date of application. So you're not putting yourself at any disadvantage by not changing it at the moment.
If you want to go into carpentry, I can't say the same thing, I'm sorry. I'm hoping you don't know.
Yeah, question, how do we apply for a T-level if it's not on the website? Go for the level 3 in the discipline that you want. So go for the motor vehicle or the mechanical engineering, and we'll pick that up. And then again, somebody just hasn't heard about an interview yet, but as you've just explained, Gina, they will be coming out very shortly now, won't they? Interview dates.
We wanted to get this virtual event over with first so that people had the information as we've just given you in terms of what to apply for, and then you will be contacted really shortly with a date for interview to come in and see us.
Yeah, and lots of T-level questions, but I think, as I said, we will definitely do a publication just on T-levels to answer all of your questions on them, because as new qualifications, they are quite complex to understand. I would say, however, they are qualifications that the teachers and the students that are already on them in the T-levels that have already started, they absolutely love them because they can get completely immersed in their subject and go really very deep into the subject. So they are great qualifications that are really motivating young people, but we'll just get more information out there for you as soon as we can. And Gina, if I was on one of the courses, whether it's a T-level or any of the others, actually, what sort of size class would I be in?
It could be anywhere up to 20. It's no more than that. We generally tend to see between 15 and 20 on the FE courses. With apprenticeships, it's probably lower than that. So you're looking between 12 and 15, 12 and 16, somewhere like that, dependent on the specialism for an apprenticeship. But yeah, up to 20.
Yeah. And often that's dictated by the size of the workshops and safety in the workshops, which you've already
Absolutely.
mentioned, haven't you?
Yes.
And if we need to put on additional courses, as long as we've got the capacity, then we will always flex that. Do we do apprenticeships, Gina, in all of the subjects that you've mentioned so far for the FE side?
Yep, so we do engineering apprenticeships, and we do those in mechatronics, product design, and tech support. And there's a lower level, level 2 in engineering operations. We do the aviation apprenticeships at level 2 and level 3, and we do the automotive apprenticeship as well. It's at level 3, but similarly to FE, you kind of go through a level 2, level 3 transition phase, but the standard is a level 3 standard.
And whilst we're on this page, and it's a very sensible question, what's meant by light vehicle maintenance and repair?
So light vehicle is cars. So it's anything that, they're not very light, are they? They can go up to about 4 tons if you're talking about a Range Rover, but they're usually commercial and domestic vehicles. So heavy vehicles would be things like ambulances, your trucks. Some vans can span between, but it's usually about the 4 ton range when it moves into that heavy goods vehicle area, tractors, trains, all of that kind of thing.
Yeah, and of course at Eastern we do the land-based engineering, which would predominantly be tractors and agricultural machinery and equipment. So yeah, we don't do the heavy goods though. So we do light vehicles or tractors at Eastern, agricultural engineering at Eastern. And again, not a silly question, because in some of these areas, and I think particularly people might have picked it up, Gina, from some of the pictures that you had, some of the students appeared to be in almost a uniform. They appeared to be in sort of similar clothing with logos on. What might it's not uniform, what might the workwear or the clothes be like that I'd need to wear?
Generally, it's a set of overalls. So I think on some of them there was green. We have those up at the Aviation Academy, but I think they're predominantly black here at City College with the City College logo on. You'll be given the opportunity to get those, and it's one of the prerequisites of going into the workshop that you are wearing safety boots. You don't always have to wear glasses dependent on the task that you complete in, but overalls as protective covering and safety boots are a must. Additional bits dependent on the job would be glasses and then ear defenders as well. So you won't have to wear them in your study classes during the day, though. It's only in the workshops.
Yeah. And I think we're just about at the end of the questions. If anybody's got any final ones, do pop them up. I'm just scrolling through. Brilliant lot of questions, everybody. I think the engineers have, because I've done several of these with my colleagues, I think the engineers have come up with the best questions, actually. I'll just leave it open just for a moment longer. And I suppose what I would just say to you as a final thing, try and gather as much information as you possibly can about your post-16 options over the next few months. If it's T-levels you're interested in, as I say, keep an eye out for the publication, but also search on the Department for Education website, because the T-levels are national qualifications and they have got lots of information on the websites about what they're about and what you would be studying and what they would look like. So it can really help you with that route and those pathways that Gina was talking about. So really have a look, keep your options open. You will have a plan A, I'm sure, but when you open that envelope on GCSE results day, it might be better than you'd anticipated, in which case you might find more pathways have opened up for you that you hadn't perhaps considered. It might not be quite what you'd hoped for, in which case there might be a different avenue that you'd be going down. So try and have those in mind when you're coming up with more than a plan A to start with. You can apply for more than one thing with us on the website, or help you choose. You will be asked to express your preference, so we know what your first choice is, and that's the one that we will predominantly talk to you about, and that's helpful for us to know. And I suppose the other thing that I would say is, whatever happens when you open the envelope, don't panic, because we will have a program for you. We'll work hard with you to work out what the route through is that's going to be best for you to get where you want to go in the end. So I would say work really hard at those exams. Make sure you come along and talk to us, get all of the information you need, and I'm sure you'll make fantastic choices. And I'm going to finish with one final question, is will I need to buy any textbooks for the courses, Gina?
Again, it depends on the course that you're going to be on. Motor vehicle course, there are supplementary texts, and you'll be told about those, but you don't necessarily have to buy them. We have copies of them in the library that you can access, and a lot of the resources that you'll be using, you'll be able to get materials online as well. So, you know, it's not an absolute that you have to buy them. They will be available.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you, Gina, for taking us through the presentation and answering the questions. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us this evening. And I really look forward to seeing you enrol at our college in September 2022. Thank you. Good evening.